Hey, good looking. Yes, yes, yes. I cannot be the only one that thinks Huda Beauty dropping that Rose Quartz palette. She understood the assignment. Anyways, I am so tempted by that palette, so I thought I would go ahead and get into some of my single eyeshadows and find some dupe shades or some shades that are kind of similar that would give the same similar effect on the eyelids. And I will go ahead and show you guys a swatch party, and then also I'll just kind of run through this look at the very end if you guys can stay tuned for that. So hi, I'm Kendra Morgan Official. I put out content weekly centered around single eyeshadows with a side of palettes, makeup brushes that aren't Morphe, and sunscreen. So if you like that kind of content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. Here's the palette that I came up with that dupes or kind of mimics those vibes of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. And ladies and gents, when I saw this palette, I was so, at first I was taken aback by it. I saw a little pastel moment here, and I'm not a pink fan. However, then once you dig your fingers into those shadows, and I was seeing swatches, I was seeing looks being put together, nothing about it said pastel. So I was very intrigued by the color story after that. And seeing that she had put in like 3, maybe 4 duochromes, I think it was, and just lots of dimension and lots of texture and sparkly goodness. I was so stoked to see that palette released. That is a huge, like, that's monumental in my opinion. I know she's been doing and leading up to, but I think this one took the cake. So I want to go ahead and get into the shadows that I picked out for my singles. So I used Luxie Beauty, Makeup Geek, Sydney Grace, Devinah. I think those are all 4 of them. I think I used just those. Oh, and one, I gotta talk about this for a moment. Coastal Scents. She come through for me again. This is, I really want to get rid of my Coastal Scents shadows. I have this entire palette right here. It's just all Coastal Scents, and okay, it's a neutral palette, but I don't use those browns, right? So I need to get rid of them because Coastal Scents is no longer sold. But then something like this happens and she comes through for me. So I picked up a Coastal Scents pink shade. And it's partly because I don't really like pinks. I don't really like the way they look on me. Typically, they can look a little conjunctivitis-y, a little sketch. So I have to be very careful. I have a ruddy undertone, and it just kind of brings that out, and then it kind of makes me look like I have pink eye, and it's just not a good look for me sometimes. But usually I think those are more coral peachy pinks, and these being on the more taupey side, these types of pinks work well with me, and they don't look bruisey either, so they're not too taupey. So I hope you guys enjoy the shadows that I picked out. I spent a little time doing this. This was not a rapid fire by any means or any stretch of the imagination, so let's go ahead and get into some swatches. Okay, here is the palette in all its glory. Those are the 18 shadows that I have picked out to dupe the vibes of the Rose Quartz. The first shadow is by Luxie Beauty, and it's Bohemian. I want you guys to check out the vault sale that Luxie Beauty is putting on right now currently, because I'm not 100% sure which shades are in there, but a couple of these might be in there, and then you could get them for steal at $2.50. Bitten by Makeup Geek is going to dupe the second shade. Oh, and I didn't write any of those down, folks. Oh no. You'll understand, right? I'll go in order of like third from the end, so on and so forth. So you guys you'll get the, I don't think I remember any of the shadows either, but this is just a matte chocolatey brown. Then Sydney Grace's, I believe it is Adore Me, is the next shade that I use in the palette to dupe the vibes of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. I did some big old fat juicy swatches. Devinah Skyla is the first shade in the palette that brings about that duochrome vibe. This is a peachy, well no, it's more pinky purple, and then it's got that blue indigo shift over the top, but that red Yeah, you can see it just a little bit. And I'm going to mess around with the lighting here, folks, and give you guys that swatch with that shift in it, and hopefully you guys can see it, but there's a really dark indigo purple that is in there. And then also the base of it is almost a reddish coral, and then it kind of shifts into a fuchsia. So hopefully you guys got a good see of that. That's Rushed by Sydney Grace. This shade I felt really fit the mark when I watched Lauren May Beauty's swatches. She said it was a blackened base purple, and this one is one of Sydney Grace's blackened base purples. Another one might be Pandora, so if you have that one, that would dupe this shadow. Tucana by Devinah, and I don't remember exactly which shade or which collection this comes from, but it is Stunning Multichrome, I believe. So it's got that almost like a translucent base undertone, and then it's got a bright pink and shifts into a gold, and at times you can almost see like a green. You're gonna see my light here because I really just want to focus on this shift for you guys and just work it over. So I know I focus a lot on aesthetics, but sometimes it's just about that shift, because I'm all about that shift. Okay, this is the first shade on the second row. It's Predictable by Sydney Grace. Just a really, really good solid matte. It's a taupey purple. Yeah, plummy purple, I guess maybe. It's mid-tone, very solid. I am building up opacity in this swatch here. Just very typical for a matte. You have to kind of build up the swatch if you really want to see the pigmentation. So then Paris is going to be the second shade in, which is a shimmery silver taupe. Yeah, I would say it's a shimmery silver taupe. I thought this was so beautiful in this palette, and it's so nice on the eyes. It's easy. It's a one and done type of shadow, and I think somebody else had mentioned in their palette that this would be a one and done shadow for them as well. Okay, so Pixie Sticks by Devinah is definitely a translucent base, but it is one of the Candy Cakes collection, I believe, or Candy Bomb, something like that. And it is definitely a translucent base with a gold and pink shift. This is what I did to try to capture that Petri dish shade. Off the top of my head, I do apologize. I don't remember the shade name. I should, like Self-Love or something. I don't know. But it's a beautiful palette at any rate. And if you do pick it up, I'm not judging. So this right here is a really, really shifty shade. I decided to try to like one up the competition as opposed to trying to find something similar to that, because as far as I know, there's really not any shades that I know of that have kind of that glossy balm texture and formula. So you guys can see it's like a hot pink to a gold shift. It is translucent, so it will sit over top of any shadow and play really nice. So Coastal Scents Peach Puff is what I put in there to dupe that light pink shade that in Huda's palette does really good. It blends into the crease really nicely, and it doesn't get muddy or ashy, so I tried to find a shade like that. I did look into Makeup Geek's Pretty in Pink, but it was just a bit too dark. It didn't stay on that pinky side. Okay, Terra Moons. You guys know how I feel about Terra Moons. I love their shadows, but they don't stay on my lids. Terra Borealis. That's going to dupe that shadow second from the end. It is a duochrome. You're going to see some shifting here. It's a red base, kind of like a teal turquoise shift to it, but it also has a very, very strong pink purple shift as well. So these are among my favorite duochromes to wear because you can wear them by themselves, but it's also a cool tone like blue, so it accentuates blue eyes without like overpowering them. Then the shade by Sydney Grace Payton's Puppy is featured next. Just a really good solid, more it's a little warmer than Huda's palette and a little more peachy than it is kind of like the taupey pink, but still I think the vibe is there. First shadow on the last row is Give Me the Dirt by Makeup Geek. This is the purpley brown that I was really looking for to be a deepening up shade for this type of palette, so I think it fits really nicely. And there's, I mean, not much else to say. It's a nice deepening up shade. Faithful by Sydney Grace is going to dupe the next shade in the palette. Really, really nice mid-tone, light to mid-tone lavender matte. Very beautiful, works really well on the eyes. I feature it in quite a few of my dupe palettes actually. Taupe 101 by Luxie Beauty. That is the in place of that shimmery taupe shade. It's exactly what it says it is. It's a taupe shadow, and it's another one and done type of shadows. You can blend that out, and it blends out kind of warm on the undertone, so that's really, I don't know, that's just really so beautiful to me to be able to use those types. And same way with all the duochromes that are featured in this Build Your Own palette. So then Gingerbread by Luxie Beauty, and I do remember this being on the Vault sale. It's the next shade to dupe, and yeah, no, the name's not coming to me. It's not even, it's like test day and nothing, not a single answer is coming to me. Like Self-Love, and I don't think that's the name of it, but anyways, it is a duochrome. We are fighting a bend in my arm. Can we get the shift? Can we pull it off? I don't know. This is a little bit more on the translucent side. Again, a pink undertone with a nice teal blue shift over. I went through and scoured the corners of my collection for these shades because I just jumped at the opportunity. Ooh, and I just whoopsie there, but I just jumped at the opportunity to try to find a shadow that would just mimic these shades in the palette perfectly because I have so many of them and I rarely have a chance to use them. Puppy, I don't think that's by surprise that Peyton's Puppy and then Puppy is used because they're both kind of taupey shades. This is deeper, darker. It's actually kind of a more warmer taupe than even Peyton's Puppy. I don't know, maybe. Peyton's Puppy looks a little more neutral. That's the one that's next to that other Duochrome. It's very beautiful, and it would blend out really easily. Again, this could be a one and done and then put maybe a Duochrome over the top. Last shade in the palette, Sydney Grace, shade Immortal. Very, very, very beautiful purple silvery taupe. It does have that slight pink just like in Huda's. Hers is a marbled cream shadow. I don't remember exactly the name of it. Surprise, surprise. You already know that, but anyways, it has that slight pink lavender undertone that really fits the Rose Quartz Palette theme, and it plays really nicely with the other shades in this palette. So here you have it. This is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz Dupe Build Your Own palette. A lot of shades from Devinah I looked through could have made great contenders in this palette. So, you know, if you don't have, for example, Skyla, you could put in Messier, Mystic Moon Pie could be one. Those shift a little more green, so you're not going to be getting those purples and the pinks. You're going to be introducing some greens, but nonetheless you would have a beautiful palette, whatever you choose. And there you have it. So those are the shades for you in my collection that I scoured the corners of and found for you for this beautiful Build Your Own palette. Hope you enjoyed that, duping the vibes of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. What do you guys think of the shades in my collection that I chose for duping the vibes of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette? Before I get into just talking briefly, and I got a little bit of footage that I will add to it on how I got this look, I want to talk about my feelings about the palette. I want to own it. Simply, I want to own it. I think it's so beautiful. Here's my dilemma. I don't use a lot of pinks. Other than maybe these shades right here, and even these, I really only ever use them in my dupe palettes. I just don't reach for pinks that often. I'm hoping that maybe seeing a few more of these videos and reviews coming out using tutorials where they use a lot of the pinks, it will change my mind and maybe kind of get me inspired to use more of my pink shades. But like I said, I ended up having to use a Coastal Scents shadow because I don't gravitate towards owning those types of shadows, not yet anyways. I was surprised. I did pick up Pixie Sticks in a recent Devinah, not recent, but over the summer I did pick up Pixie Sticks in one of the, I think, is it Candy Cakes collection? Cake Bomb? I don't remember exactly what it was, but in the collection I picked that up. And I was surprised that, you know, I got an opportunity to use it because I thought, boy, this will never be a shadow I ever reach for because unfortunately I'm just not a huge pink fan. I think it might have something to do with kind of like my ruddy undertone complexion, you know. It's just not something that I really strive for. So let's go ahead and talk about what I used from my dupe palette to create this look, which I think kind of came out very similar to many of the eyeshadow palette review looks I've seen recently. So I started out by buffing in the crease Peyton's Puppy, and I ran that up along the outer 1/3, and then as I finished off blending and I moved towards the center, I kind of faded into the inner portion towards my nose. Deepening up the outer corner, I used Puppy, and that's that taupey brown shade, and I really stuck in, just kind of slanted it inward and just laid that on top. So not being able to choose between Gingerbread and Terra Borealis, I went ahead and put Terra Borealis on the outer, I would say 1/2 to 1/3 of the eyelid, and then on the inner 1/3 I used Gingerbread all over the lid. So these duochromes really play nicely together because they both have kind of a blue shift over top, and so they really meshed well together. But if I would have had like a blue or a green duochrome and then I would have tried to mix them, it would be very difficult to see the shifts. So because the shifts are the same, I could use two different shadows, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. And that's just really a testament to Huda Beauty's being able to really like see a color story and really envision that color story and carry it out. That's amazing work. I did go ahead and smoke out with some Peyton's Puppy underneath the lash line, and I think I used some Gimme the Dirt also to just kind of line underneath. I did take some of my favorite Makeup Geek eyeliner, and if you haven't already purchased from Makeup Geek and you are looking to pick up a couple of these like staple shadows, these deeper tones, which I highly recommend because almost always I use the deep shades from Makeup Geek in my dupe palettes and even just in everyday use, then you can use my code Kendra Morgan Official. That'll save you guys 10% off, and it is an affiliate, so you'll be helping this channel. So go out there and buy. And if not, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to buy from me either. There's plenty of other codes out there for brands that you can support and channels that you can support that are small, just like mine. Don't feel pressured. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Duping the Vibes of the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz Palette. And if you're planning to pick up the palette, or you already have it and you own it, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm still on the fence. I really feel like I'm gonna have to play around with it just a little bit more, but that I probably, depending on the Black Friday specials, they might be able to entice me, and I might find something that I just can't live without. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me. I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.